Hello, I would like to show you how I created a leather belt of the highest quality. I made this belt in the Oak Leathercraft workshop and it's 100% handmade. In order to complete this belt, you will need to put in a lot of work. Belt is sewn and stamped by hand, so when finished, the product will be of the highest quality. Today, I will try to present a few stages of how this belt was created. I start by cutting it and lightly marking the first hole from the end of the belt. The hole is going to be 10 cm from the end. Then I set myself 2 cm and roughly mark the holes. In the next step, we want to mark the holes a bit harder. I will not be punching them just yet, as this will be done in the later stages. After marking the holes, I lightly mark the center of the belt. It's important to do this precisely and very gently mark the leather. In the next step, I continue to mark along the rest of the belt, still gently marking the leather. From a pattern created in a graphic program, I cut the fastening for the buckle. Today, for a client of mine, I will be making it in size 36, so now I am just making sure that the size is correct. If not, then I can cut a bit off from the buckle side. This belt will have 9 holes and total length will be 110 cm or 43 inches. After marking the line of holes for the seam, I start knocking them out. It's good to start at the end of the belt and work your way towards the buckle. Now, using a wet sponge, I begin damping the leather before stamping. Stamping is done from the start of the belt. First line goes on the previously marked center line. I try to do this very precisely. Link to the leather stamps can be found in the video description. After stamping the belt with a bigger leather stamp, I then stamp it with a smaller one. Here I'm making a stamped fastening buckle and loop. After the belt dries, I coat it with neat's foot oil and cut out a wider strap of the leather that will be on the inside. From now on, I try to be very careful not to dirty the leather, as it has to be a natural light colour when finished. In order to protect it, I immediately apply an acrylic Resolene finish. I cut the edges of the belt, the loop, and the fastening buckle. Now, I carefully dye the edges of the belt using an applicator called wool daubers, and it's in the colour of walnut. The rest I dye with an airbrush and use the same colour. Carefully, I glue both leather belts together and wait for them to dry. I punch holes again, trying to put the hole punch perfectly perpendicular to the belt. I put a clean paper towel under my belt to keep it light in color and perfectly clean. The next step is to trim the belt. I try to do it with the knife also perfectly perpendicular to the belt. Now I paint the edges, being extremely careful not to stain the leather, especially the inside of the belt. In this step, I polish the edges of the fastening loop and the belt. I punch holes in previously marked places and burnish them. I always start sewing from the beginning of the belt going towards the buckle. I then sew the belt twice, first the top, then the bottom of the belt. The belt is over 5.5mm thick, which is about 14 ounces, so the thread I use is about 3.5 times the length of the belt. Due to the length of the thread, sewing is quite uncomfortable, especially at the beginning. It takes me about 3 to 3.5 hours to sew a belt in this size by hand. After stitching, it's time to put on the buckle and loop, but it's important to use good quality screw rivets. It is also worth smearing the thread of the rivets with glue to prevent the rivets from unscrewing. The belt is finished. It took me 2 days to make it and record the film, but the satisfaction is huge. Thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions, please ask in the comments. Adam, Oak Leathercraft.